1 week can destroy a career. 1 injury can end a dynasty. 1 coach's decision can rewrite history. This is the story of Sammy Adjei, Ghana's former goalkeeper legend. The man who once made impossible saves look routine, who commanded respect across Africa, who seemed untouchable until he wasn't. Because football is brutal in its timing, unforgiving in its opportunities. And sometimes, one moment of vulnerability changes everything. 2005, 1 week before Ghana's biggest World Cup qualifier ever, Sammy Adjei's knee gives out. Enters Richard Kingston as emergency replacement. What happened next was every athlete's nightmare. Watching someone else live your dream better than you ever did. This is how legends fall. Not in drastic defeats, not in public humiliation, but in hospital rooms when their bodies betray them and someone else seizes their destiny. Chapter 1. The Making of a God. 1999. Sammy Adjei is 19 years old. In most countries, that's just another teenager with dreams. In Ghana, it is everything, because Ghana's goalkeeper carries more than just the responsibility of stopping shots. He carries 25 million hopes, 25 million dreams, 25 million hearts that break when every goal is conceded. The position demands perfection. Every mistake gets dissected by millions. Every save gets compared to legends. Every match carries the weight of history. Most teenagers will crumble under that pressure. Sammy Adjei thrived on it. Why? Because he possessed something rare in football: unshakable self-belief. Every shot that came his way felt like a personal challenge. Every striker who dared test him was questioning something sacred. And Sammy Adjei had never failed a test in his life. CAF Champions League Final 2000, Hearts of Oak vs Esperance. First leg in Tunis. 45,000 hostile Tunisians packed into the stadium, all wanting one thing: to see this young Ghanaian goalkeeper fail. The atmosphere is brutal. Hostile chants echo around the ground. This is African football at its most intimidating. Sammy Adjei stands in his goal area, adjusting his gloves, calm, focused, ready. Because he knows something they don't. He's about to give them a masterclass. Shot after shot comes his way. Esperance's finest forwards, players who have terrorized defenses across the continent, each one convinced this is their moment to break the young goalkeeper. But Sammy moves like he's reading their minds, diving left before the shot is even taken, plucking crosses from the air with casual authority, making reflex saves that defy physics. By halftime, the hostile crowd falls silent. By full time, they are applauding. Even enemies recognize greatness when they see it. Hearts of Oak wins 2-1. But more importantly, Sammy Adjei has just announced something to the entire continent: I am untouchable. That night created something dangerous, because once you know you are invincible, you need to keep proving it, and that addiction eventually destroys you. The tournament that defined him. 2002 Africa Cup of Nations. Ghana's impressive march to the quarterfinals. Sammy's performances are nothing short of spectacular. His hands aren't just big, they are magnetic. Every shot drawn to them like they control gravity itself. Crosses flow toward him like he's calling them home. 4 matches played, minimal goals conceded, a defensive foundation built on one man's brilliance. The quarterfinal against Nigeria becomes the stuff of a legend. An intense 90-minute battle showcasing everything Sammy can do. Jaw-dropping saves that have the commentators running out of superlatives. The Super Eagles throw everything at him. Their best forwards, their most dangerous attacks, wave after wave of pressure. Sammy produces moment after moment of brilliance. Even though Ghana eventually loses 1-0, Nigeria players stare at him afterward like he's not human. Because during that tournament, he wasn't. He was something else. Something that defied logic. Something that couldn't last forever. But he didn't know that yet. By 2003, Sammy Adjei is more than just Ghana's goalkeeper. He's a brand, a symbol, the kind of player clubs across Africa want to sign. Hearts of Oak built their entire defensive strategy around his shot-stopping ability. They can play a higher line because they know anything that gets through will likely be saved. His presence alone changes how opposing team approaches matches. But here's what nobody talks about in football. Being untouchable creates its own pressure. Every match becomes a performance. Every save needs to be spectacular. Routine stops becomes boring. Greatness becomes the minimum expectation. This psychological burden weighs differently on different players. Some crumble under it. Others, like Sammy, seem to feed off it. Until the day their body decides it's had enough. 2003 routine training session. Nothing special about the drill. Sammy dives for a cross. Standard technique. Thousands of repetitions in his career. But this time, something goes wrong. His shoulder. Pain shoots through the joint. Sharp and immediate. Telling him something is seriously wrong. But gods don't get injured. Gods don't show weakness. Gods don't disappoint their people. So he tries to play through it, gritting his teeth through every dive, pretending the fire in his shoulder is just a minor ache until his body makes the decision for him. The shoulder injury proves too severe to ignore. Sitting in that doctor's office, hearing the verdict, shoulder sprain, initially 2 months out, though recovery will stretch longer. Sammy Adjei experiences something he's never felt before. Fear, not of the injury, of being forgotten, of being replaced, of discovering he was never as special as he believed. For the first time in his career, Ghana's untouchable goalkeeper confronts his mortality. But injuries in football aren't just physical, they are psychological, and the mind often takes longer to heal than the body. The shoulder eventually heals, the confidence doesn't. Every dive now comes with a question: will it hold? Every collision brings hesitation. What if it happens again? Every save carries doubt. Am I still the same? In football, doubt is poison, and Sammy Adjei is slowly being poisoned. The boy who once threw himself at striker's feet without thought now hesitates for a split second before diving. In football, split seconds are lifetimes. More injuries follow. Hamstring problems keeping him out for weeks. The shoulder issue returning during warm-ups. Each setback stealing another piece of his confidence. 2007 international friendly against Austria. That brutal collision we open with another hospital trip, another period of uncertainty. And who steps in when Sammy gets hurt? Richard Kenson. The pattern had already been established. Every time Sammy fell, Kenson rose. One week before Ghana's biggest match in history, World Cup qualifier against South Africa, win, and Ghana makes their first ever World Cup. Lose, and dreams die for another 4 years. Sammy Adjei is Ghana's undisputed number 1. Has been for 6 years, expects to be forever. Then his knee gives out, not a knock, not something you tape up and play through, a serious injury that requires immediate attention. 1 week before everything matters, team doctor Martin Engman delivers the crashing verdict: unfit for selection. Two words that change everything. George Owu gets the emergency call. Ashanti Gold goalkeeper, solid, reliable, but never expected to be Ghana's World Cup hero. FNB Stadium, Johannesburg, 45,000 South African fans creating a hostile atmosphere. Everything Ghana has dreamed of on the line. George Owu does something beautiful. He saves Ghana's World Cup dream. 2-0 victory, historic qualification secured. Owu's performance is so commanding, so assured that he earns himself a World Cup squad spot as backup goalkeeper, which means Sammy Adjei, the former untouchable number 1, suddenly finds himself third choice behind Owu, behind someone who wasn't even in consideration 6 months earlier. One injury, 1 week, one brilliant performance by a replacement, and some missed world crumbles. But George Owu saving the World Cup qualification isn't even the biggest shock. June 2006, World Cup squad announcement. Ghana's first ever World Cup. The biggest moment in the country's football history. First choice goalkeeper, Richard Kenson. Second choice, George Owu. Third choice, Sammy Adjei. Richard Kenson, who was 4th choice just months ago, behind Adjei, behind Owu, behind Philemon McCarthy. 4th, Coach Dukovic's explanation cut like a knife. Kenson's determination, hard work and discipline. His willingness to put his whole career on the line for Ghana. Translation: while you were getting injured, he was getting better. While you were doubting yourself, he was proving himself. While you were falling, he was rising. Watching your replacement become a legend. The World Cup that changed everything. Germany 2006, Ghana's first World Cup. The entire nation celebrating. Sammy is here, third choice. watching from the bench as his replacement takes center stage. Richard Kingston starts every match. Group stage against Italy, Czech Republic, USA, round of 16 against Brazil, and then something devastating happens. He's brilliant. BBC calls him Africa's first great goalkeeper. Brazilian fans nickname him Olile after his commanding displays. His performances are everything Ghana dreamed their number one would be. Every save Kingston makes is a reminder of what Sammy once was. Every command of his box is a mirror reflecting his former self. Every cheer from Ghanaian fans echoes with Kingston deserves it. He's not lucky. He's not stealing a one. George O, reliable backup. Sammy Adjei, yesterday's hero. 2008 Africa Cup of Nations. Kingston leads Ghana to the semi-finals as hosts. Though they fall to Cameroon in the semis, Ghana rebounds to claim bronze in the third place playoff against Ivory Coast. Kingston's performances through the tournament are commanding. Sammy watches from the sidelines. 2008 friendly versus Tanzania. Kingston does something extraordinary. He scores a goal, a late header that salvages a 1-1 draw, a goalkeeper scoring for Ghana. The rare feat makes the headlines across the continent. 2010 Africa Cup of Nations. Kingston leads Ghana all the way to the final. Outstanding performances throughout earned him selection to the tournament all-star team. Though they lose the final to Egypt, Ghana's journey to that stage cements Kingston's reputation as one of Africa's elite goalkeepers. 2010 World Cup. Kingston plays every minute. Quarterfinals. His crucial saves against the USA earned him the Turkish Airlines Top of the Match award in their dramatic extra time victory. The statistics tell the brutal story. Richard Kingston, 90 caps for Ghana. Sammy Adjei, 38 caps. One knee injury in 2005, one coach's gamble, one World Cup performance, and though Sammy would continue to receive occasional call-ups, including that final appearance in Austria in 2007, his time as Ghana's first choice was effectively over. Chapter 6, The Desperate Last Stand. When Legends Audition. 2008, Hearts of Oak offers Sammy a contract, not a guarantee, an opportunity, one humiliating mission. Convince the new coach to include you in the national team. Think about that. A former legend auditioning for relevance. A former god begging for a chance. Sammy drives to training every day knowing every session is a test. Every save is being judged. Every mistake is being magnified. This is what desperation looks like. A man who once made impossible saves routine, now making routine saves feel impossible. He trains like a man possessed. Best shape of his life, sharpest reflexes, everything technically perfect, except the thing that matters most, the phone isn't ringing. The final insult. Days pass, weeks pass, months pass. Richard Kingston continues dominating for Ghana, commanding his penalty area, making crucial saves, leading by example. That's what makes this transition so devastating. Kingston had been waiting in the wings, watching, learning, preparing. If someone had told Sammy Adjei in 2004 he would lose his position, he might have expected George Owu after those World Cup heroics. Maybe Philemon McCarthy, who had been around longer. But watching someone leapfrog from fourth choice to first choice while you fell from first to third, that's not just losing your position. That's watching the entire hierarchy collapse around you. That's watching the intern become the CEO while you are demoted to assistant, and then having to admit the intern was already better suited for the job. Chapter 7, The Weight of Being Ordinary. When special becomes normal. 2010, 2011, 2012. Hearts of Oak. Domestic football being normal. For most players, this would be enough. Good evening. Playing for one of Ghana's biggest clubs. Regular football, steady income. For Sammy Adjei, it's psychological torture because he remembers what untouchable felt like. He remembers making saves that had entire stadiums gasping. He remembers being the difference between victory and defeat for his country. Now, he's making ordinary saves against ordinary players in ordinary matches. And every ordinary moment reminds him of what he's lost. The cruelest part of athletic decline isn't losing your ability. It's remembering what having it felt like. The conversation with reality. 2013, age 32, decision time. Most goalkeepers play until 38 or even 40. The position allows for longevity. Experience often trumps athleticism. But Sammy looks in the mirror and sees something different. A man pretending to be something he is no longer. The hardest conversation a champion ever has is with themselves when they admit it's over. Not because of scandal, not because of dramatic failure, because the fire has died. Because diving for crosses feels like work instead of joy. Because making saves feel like duty instead of art. Because being ordinary hurts more than being retired. July 1st, 2013, retirement announced. Chapter 8. What happens to fallen gods? Every weekend, Ghana plays football. Every weekend, someone else stands in his goal. Every weekend, the world continues without him. The newspaper writes about his achievements. Fans remember his saves, but none of that fills the void left by losing your identity. Because Sammy Adjei wasn't just a goalkeeper. He was Ghana's goalkeeper. He was the untouchable one. He was chosen. And now, he is not. This is the part of the hero's journey they don't teach you. Not the rise, not the triumph. The moment when destiny chooses someone else. But champions aren't defined only by how they win. They are defined by how they lose, how they fall, how they accept that falling is part of the contract. Today, Sammy Adjei is a goalkeeper coach at Dreams FC since August 2023, teaching young keepers how to dive without fear, how to command their penalty area, how to handle pressure. Richard Kingston became Ghana's national team goalkeeper coach. Served until January 2024. The replacement became the mentor. Both men found ways to serve the game that made them. Both discovered that teaching the next generation requires different courage than any save. Their rivalry became collaboration. Their competition became mentorship. Their individual stories became a shared legacy. That transformation from bitter rivals to respected educators took more strength than any dive either ever made. The truth about how legends fall. This is how greatness ends in professional sports, not in dramatic failure, not in public humiliation, in a knee injury 1 week before everything mattered. Sammy didn't lose his position because he got worse. He lost it because he got hurt at the worst possible moment, and because someone else got better at the perfect moment. That's football, that's business, that's life. Brutal in its timing, unforgiving in its opportunities, honest in its judgment. Richard Kingston became Africa's first great goalkeeper, not by destroying Sammy Adjei, but by being ready when destiny called. And Sammy Adjei, he learned the hardest lesson in sports. Sometimes you lose not because you fail, but because someone else succeeded at exactly the moment you couldn't. Heroes don't choose, time chooses for them. Injuries choose for them. 1 week of bad timing can end everything. Bodies betray, knees fail, younger players seize moments, coaches make bold decisions, and legends learn the hardest lesson of all. Being special was temporary, being replaced is permanent. But finding grace in replacement, finding purpose in teaching, finding peace in serving something bigger than yourself, that's where the real story begins. Sammy Adjei was untouchable until he wasn't. And learning to be human again taught him something no save ever could. True greatness isn't about never failing, it's about what you do after you hit the ground.